Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
The world is a global village. This means that increasingly our cultural influences are fluid, overlapping, and interactive. When I speak of intertribal as an adjective, it means to be respectful, informed, or at least interested and embracing of other tribes outside the one you're born into. What is a tribe? The dictionary defines it as a social division in a traditional society consisting of families or communities linked by social, economic, religious, or blood ties, with a common culture and dialect, typically having a recognized leader. Behavior that promotes the exclusion of people on the basis of characteristics like tribe is not only delusional, it's unsustainable. Why do I say this? Because the partisan disposition of us against them, divide and conquer, thrives on divisiveness. And so we'll still find uncommon ground even when such people are amongst the ones they have identified as their own. Take our unproductive political rotation system, for example. Let's say we want an Igbo man as president. Then even in the southeast among Igbos, they want someone from our local government as governor. Even then, we may want someone from our family. Self-interest never generated anything noble or self-perpetuating. Intertribal is good because it looks to the common good, the human identity that makes a man or woman your brother or sister, not because they look, sound, or eat the same food as you, but because they're human like you with the capacity for divinity. And so I ask it again, how intertribal are you, really?
That's some of us who are very intertribal.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We are from,
What do you mean by
they are
that?
from the south, married in the middle belt, and, so with families everywhere. So it makes
What's that title you gave yourself in Igbo land again?
Ori Hedima one of the entire Igbo land.
Imagine.
That's a fraudulent.
We're going to bet that title.
It's a fraudulent exposure.
Everywhere I have titles
But do you
everywhere
see
because
that, we have a problem in Nigeria?
very big one.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
No, very big problem because all of these stem from this attitude. Ordinarily, outside politics, would see ourselves as one. But the moment, yes, let me drive this a little bit.
Okay. Let him.
Dangote, if Dangote comes to your place now and wants to invest, you won't see him as an Hausa man. You see him as that Nigerian who wants to invest.
Because of money.
If Chuka goes abroad, I meet Chuka in America, we see ourselves as brothers from Nigeria. Sure. But the moment we come here, that same Dangote wants to become governor in your place where he has invested into. That's when you remember that no, he's not from Isukwato,
Correct.
or he's not from MBC. So all of these create this because of the gains of politics. We tend to now create.
No, but then
division,
what you are bringing up is still the same. If someone is accepting Dangote because he's investing, but they don't want to accept him when he comes to be part of them to maybe share in whatever it is that they're sharing in, it's still that self-interest dictating it because they're saying by that, we will take from you. We don't have any problem trusting you when you're giving us, but we have a problem trusting you when it looks like you have something to take from us.
No, not really.
So it's still self-interest.
No. Like take my community in Anagbete, for example. Now we have cattle rearers. We have a Fulani who they come down to the south because we live in a riverine community. They come to take from us.
Okay.
With their heads, and we accommodate them.
Okay.
But the moment politics comes into it, That's where you now begin to say, no, this man.
Who must be one of the few people that accommodate cattle rearers.
No, even in Auchi, we had Zongo.
Yes.
Those days outside politics. You go to Kano, you see Sabongeri. Sabongeri actually means where strangers live. You know, and so in all of these places, in Auchi you had Igbo market, Igbo shades. In Warri you had Igbo shades. You know, these are people who are known. They come to other places. We live together.
You're saying it's just in politics that
politics created that divide. And so
I
now,
totally agree with Liboris. I mean, you know, in my village, we have some Hausa people there, you know, making a living there, selling suya peacefully, and even learning to speak Igbo, you name it. We don't have any problem with each other outside. Yeah, we don't have any problem with each other outside politics. But it's the politicians that have actually created this divide using tribal lines, using...
No, but then we have Fulani headsmen massacres. Come on, I would say that's...
It's all part of politics. Yes, it is all part of politics.
It's been another world.
Well, I've been telling you this.
Because, you know, the stories I hear around the Fulani massacres, they're horrific. And you hear something like, maybe someone is tired of this person's cattle trampling over their field, and then they go and they kill the cattle, and then they come and they massacre people in the night. Where's the politics in that?
Yes, it's all politically charged.
You're taking it from the top without looking at it from the origin.
Okay, go on, please help me.
Okay. You look at, these were the same people that were living peacefully.
Yes, once upon a time.
They buy from these cows for ceremonies.
Yes.
In some cases, they come and they say, my cow is missing. And the entire community goes together to look for this same cow.
Okay.
You know, they coexist, they live together, they intermarry. And so all of a sudden...
What happened at this all of a sudden?
All of a sudden, this same cow that we once used to look for together, now we no longer, once that cow is missing, you want to kill somebody. All of a sudden, these same people that we provided grazing land to, now they want to take by force. There's an undertone. Because you have some people, because of their selfish interest, they tell you, no, if you give them this land, tomorrow they want to take more. Or there's this history of how the Fulanis conquered the jihad and all. So you begin to put ideas in
into
people. And therefore some...
Sorry, if you don't mind. Also, I believe that this whole tribal thing comes in when you are not performing as a politician. If politicians came in to actually perform, then they will know that people will vote for them on the basis of their performance. But if you're not coming in with the intention to perform, all you're coming in to do is chop, you're going to now try and get your people to vote for you because you are you're Christian or you're Muslim or you're from my town. So that's why you have this situation where someone like Buhari is like, oh, he's got the North all locked down, you know. In my opinion, he hasn't performed. But these people are going to rely on this.
Okay, let me give you a scenario then. Let's say I'll use what I know. You know, I'm in the Southeast. I'm an Igbo person. And I go to rent a house. And someone, the landlord is asking me, so are you from Anambra or Imo State? Why are they doing that? I'm not going into politics.
They've sewn in all those sort of divisions.
So I say, well, I'm Anambra because I'm from Anambra. I'm Imo because I'm married to Imo. So choose one.
You remember?
You know, but why are they playing that game?
You remember after the war, there was concerted effort to rebuild, reintegrate. So we created unity schools. We also had the NYSC program. We had friends who were from the East who schooled in Bauchi, Federal Government College, Bauchi, Yankari, Federal Government College in Zugeru. You know? And so all of these people, as at the time they were living in those places, even though they were from the East, but a lot of them till date are still in those places because that's where they know as home.
That's right.
But when, if you remember, at a point in this country, we had a Muslim ticket. People didn't debate, oh, Abiola is a Muslim, Babagana Kingibe is a Muslim. It was about what do they have to offer. But with this new set of politics, it started with, oh, this man is a Christian. You can't have Christian. Oh, this man is from the north or the south.
You feel that
and so it's our turn.
That's being fed by those
absolutely.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
They tend to control everything, you know, even though you don't know it. But you know, when you go back, you know how the word my hometown means different things to Africans, as you know, from say Europeans. A European would call his hometown where he grew up.
Okay.
So I come from Liverpool. And so tomorrow your own son could come from Southampton,
depending where,
basically, because you moved to Southampton to work, and then you had 3 children, and there's, But here, we consistently insist, my hometown is Ogwashuku, and that's it. It just
fixed.
can't change. And my children should hopefully say they're from Ogwashuku as well, not Lagos.
Yes.
So we've got, I like that to some extent, but it might be getting in our
divisive.
way. It might be getting in our way, but I like it. And I think they're playing with it on a very high level, and
I don't know. Don't you think it's easy to always? Don't you think it's always easy to blame them and not take some responsibility? This is why I'm still questioning. I haven't quite accepted this theory because I think that there's something very primitive about that divide and conquer mentality that. It doesn't necessarily. It may have been there dormant. Yes, someone may have stirred it up, but it was already there in a sense.
No.
Maybe you can even tell me. Even the Biafra situation, was it politically motivated?
Let's understand it from this point of view.
That's a good one.
You live in a community. You have accepted these people as your own, and then somebody comes tomorrow. That person is used to create a divorce between you and these people that you are living peacefully with.
Were you really living peacefully?
No, you were.
Was that not that
No, you were living peacefully. Where I disagree with liberals, they were living peacefully. But what I disagree with, he said they were living with you as your own. I think that's where
you never really accepted them.
When you are a Hausa man living in Benin.
Yes.
It does not mean that the Benin man
has accepted you.
You are a visitor, very well kept and very well
tolerated.
Yes. Because here, agree with the fact that we have our cultures that we still hold on dear to.
Yeah.
There's no way you can do because you are living somewhere and so you just jettison your identity.
Okay.
It's difficult for a man. Yeah. That is why even in the European that you talk about,
Welsh,
they still
Scotland,
go back home for family holidays.
Yes.
For those that still believe that they have a root somewhere.
That's what, and they're falling every day.
There are some, even in this country, there are some people, Igbos, who have been in Kano all their life, and the home they know is Kano. And where there are some who will always go back home, at some point it's okay, this is the home I know is Owerri, or So, but when you live with the people, it does not necessarily mean that until you drop your identity and embrace that or take up the gap of the other identity, that's when you are inter-tribal.
No, I think inter-tribal, but what I was really pushing at is you look for things in common. It doesn't mean that you don't have yours. It's like now I'm a different personality to you, to her. But at least when we're sitting together, we try and find common ground.
Yes. I'm not even sure that it's about looking for what's in common. I think it's even just about celebrating our differences.
Yes, more like
with many marriages. I mean, I know that for me, I've always been attracted to people from another state, from another background.
You want to see how...
That's it. I want to see how they relate, And I love when I see marriages of Igbo and Yoruba or Igbo and Hausa. For me, it's just cosmopolitan. It's wonderful. So I love that. So I think it's about celebrating our differences.
And so I guess the way forward for me is then how do we, since we're blaming them, how do we then because we can't continue to be pawns. We're now in election season. Are we going to now go and blame them when we go and vote for the wrong person?
Education would have been a useful tool, but I'm sorry, right now the kind of education system we have is not about to help.
But we are educated now.
Yeah, we are, yes, but it's not about to, what we have is not about to help. And social media would have been a great tool, but actually no, I've noticed that it's even worse on social media.
No, because you're not being educated before you come there. If you were better educated before you get to social media, you will use social media in that way. Unity schools were excellent because I remember FGC Warrior, so it was just unbelievable that everybody was there.
And so the message for all of us now is that we should be refused to be used.
Yes, I like that. That's a soundbite. I refuse to be used.
Well done.
Okay, though, although we could keep going, it's time to switch gears. And when we return from a quick break, Libras will be kicking off the second lap. Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's
Really?
disastrous for a president
To even say
be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news. You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV. The baton has been handed over to me. For today, they are giving their tomorrow, dying unprotected and without sophisticated weapon. In a country where politicians stack money in rooms and Ghana must-go bags and are unable to pay minimum wage of 30,000 naira a month, which is less than $100. Despite the weakness of their weapons, including the ones paid for that were never seen, yet gallantly they fought, sometimes fleeing or technically maneuvering away from the enemy lines for protection of their lives with the hope of seeing their loved ones at least once again, even if they are court-martialed. In Nigeria, a mother of a soldier is childless, and his wife a widow, even when they are alive, as nobody can tell when their avoidable deaths, even in protected barracks, can come calling. Upon their death, flags are not flown at half-mast, neither are monies promised their families paid sometimes. But we can fly flag at half-mast in celebration of those that have stolen our commonwealth, like Lawrence Anini, as we notice with the demise of Chief Tony Anini in a state where corruption is supposed to be fought. Rather, the politicians play politics on the grave of our fallen heroes, with their blood stained from the bullet of terrorists still fresh, bullets sometimes bought with our stolen funds. Even as politicians take turns to make empty promises, while looking away at the families of the fallen heroes are chased away from the barracks into the unknown without hopes nor home. We shall wake us up from our deep slumbers to see that unlike Britons, where kings and princes lead the nation in battlefront, and kings and princes lead with rhetorics and expensive power bags, even when they join the military, they are never posted to war front, as same is only meant for renegades and disobedient ones, or the children of the poor, who out of hunger and joblessness must join the military. We must rise, not minding our political affiliations, to collectively heal our land of everything wrong with it, but not through weapons of death or rhetorics of hatred, but through concerted effort at celebrating our soldiers and learning to question our leaders, even if they are born of our mothers.
Oh.
Very, very moving. Sounds poetic.
Honestly.
I mean, the thing is, don't forget, it's not many years ago that if you said you wanted to join the army or the police, your parents would be very upset.
Yeah.
They would be upset because they're ashamed of you. They'll be ashamed of you because they think that job is lowly. And that's, I think, one of the first problems we've had one of the problems we've had now for years.
Yeah.
How do we get the army, the armed forces, to be a noble profession, if it's profession? I don't know whether that's the right word.
I'm glad you're asking the question. Why? Yeah.
Why is it not noble?
Or even why is it that we don't celebrate them enough? Because I came across an article by Sahara Reporters, and he's asking, did you not know? And a lot of the did you not know will be a revelation for a lot of us because it's just not in the public space. So I'll just read one paragraph from that. It says, the American military opens most of its activities to the general public, including videos of combat operations and even funerals of fallen members. That's why it's common in the US to see civilians hung randomly around military personnel in the malls, offer them a choice seats on airplanes, even pick up their bills in restaurants. The narrative needs to change from stories that earn the army blame and opprobrium. Images such as that of soldiers that harm civilians and burn down villages, and of soldiers rolling armored personnel carriers down the streets of innocent, in quotes, civilian Nnamdi Kanu of IPOB. So they were basically saying that both the army themselves need to take charge and actively roll out a more positive rhetoric. And the media, they kept saying at this event they attended, the media was nowhere to be found. And yet there was a lot of noble display of the army really doing some very serious maneuvers that would have impressed a lot of people.
Recently I had the privilege of watching Nigerian Military School passing out parade. And I shed tears of joy. I look at young kids can do this. They are displayed with guns but rather than promote these things for Nigerians to know, it's like creating a platform for friendship. But these things are done nocturnally, hidden in secret, for security reasons, and so, because I also think that people feed fats from, when these things are kept secret. Yes. And so you really don't see the positive side of our military. And so when you don't see how do you praise a man whom you are not seeing his positive side? Recently, when some of the soldiers that died in the Boko Haram war were buried in Abuja.
Yes.
You know, the ceremony was hush-hush.
I'll tell you exactly
Please,
why that happened. Because Boko Haram was supposed to have been technically defeated.
Okay.
So, in fact, the reason we actually found out about these fallen heroes, a lot of it was passed through Facebook. You know,
Yes,
was
that's
passed through social media. Otherwise, we weren't supposed to know.
No.
We weren't supposed to know the number, the massive numbers of soldiers being killed every single day. So they have to hurry up. They have to hush it up. They have to dump them.
You don't think it's a positive
No,
slant
it's
to their
not,
narrative?
because we can't even celebrate. We don't even know who they are to even celebrate them. It's not right.
And meanwhile, was it sometimes last year when the French government was burying, I think, a policeman that was shot, and you saw the display and the emotion with which the president, you saw Macron's hand on the casket, and you could see a display of emotions. But here,
we're so myopic in the way we do politics, because we were just talking earlier about finding common ground. These are the areas that will cross tribes, cross religion, because a soldier is a soldier is a soldier.
Yeah, but like
this whole army
thing, I have to say, it's the same way we treat life. We don't value life.
That's true.
If we valued life the way the people abroad in UK and the US value life, then maybe we would make sure that our army or whatever were properly equipped before they go into battle.
We don't value life because people are too preoccupied with the daily struggle, and nobody's being reminded of the nobility of human life.
The daily struggle itself is about life.
Exactly.
And so if we value it, we make the daily struggle, less stressful.
Yeah. You know, give us good votes.
Fight for your life.
I'm still looking for who to blame in all of this thing we're saying.
I am blaming the politicians.
We always do that. It's an easy option.
I am blaming
it's an easy option.
because
we don't value life, and you blame the politicians.
No. When
how
you
does
say
that
we
work?
don't, how do you know that we
value.
have? You see, there are people who control narratives from behind.
You have to understand that.
But we now have social media.
You know.
No, you know that you don't even know what is going on. Even the social media is like just a scratch on the surface of what is really going. Yes,
you see,
I refuse to accept that.
You see, liberals talked about the way the Americans view the army, and it's true that when they see soldiers, they want to help them, they want to talk to them.
The article, they pay their bills.
At the airport, they consistently announced, we value you, we salute your courage.
So how did that narrative come about? Was it done deliberately?
It would have come, it's very difficult. It would have come from society.
Okay.
But I'll tell you,
not the politicians.
But hang on, everything starts from society. Then a set of people realize that they can hijack society and control it. That's that behind, people behind I'm talking about. In the UK, they don't treat their soldiers as
Be careful how many
outwardly.
times you say UK liberals.
Yes, that's right. Oh yes, no, I've said USA already, so I'm on no side. You know, in the UK, it's very different from the USA. In the UK, the soldiers are out of sight, and it's a culture they have.
Yes.
But because they've got the culture to a T, it doesn't mean that because they're out of sight, they're out of mind.
Exactly.
And so we don't forget we were British.
Yes, which was
so
what
what has happened is that
we embraced.
Exactly, we embraced that out of sight, but we didn't realize the nuances that they. So we're not. So we've pushed them out.
I think it's as intelligent as that.
Chuka, I think what happened.
Yeah, embracing out of sight because you had a British origin.
Chuka, I think what has happened.
Most of us don't even know what the British origin
we copied it.
No, we copied it.
You copied something you weren't even.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
so
they were privy to
them.
They ruled us.
They were out of sight.
Born when they were really.
But over time, you see, just like. You know, the dynamics and the dynamics of a system. Over time, you improve on it.
Correct.
So over time, they improve on how do we, these people are out of sight. We don't want them to be out of mind. So how do we improve on that relationship?
Correct. Okay.
But we kept them out of sight and didn't bother to improve as they were.
Maybe it's because we don't even see the value. Because like she's saying, Uche said, no, it's possible. Like Uche was saying, for example, they're busy hiding the fact that, they're not meant to be casualties. They're meant to have technically dealt. So they don't even appreciate that if you can bring the country together around, because even people who do conspiracy theory on the American front always appreciate that politicians, the same politicians we malign here, tend to use the army and war and to unite the country. The politicians don't even see the value. Imagine a politician who brings people around the nobility of the military. They would win people's votes.
It now brings you to the question you asked. Because these conspiracy theorists believe that when the politicians were using the army to fight war in all fronts, that there's need for the average American to see the need why the soldiers are fighting those wars.
Yes.
And that you now make it look like, oh, it's for us to keep Americans safe.
Correct.
Yes.
Take the battles out of America.
Yeah.
And so in taking the battles out, this is what they are going through. And so let's encourage them when we see them. So it's like you said,
but thinking about it.
But here, our politicians are preoccupied with mundane things.
Yes.
And so the narrative is shifted to cover up.
I do wonder how many soldiers that have been put on the front line, how many even come back, even whether with amputated limbs or anything, to even show people, look, I fought in a, I think usually the people that are left to even mention that this person existed are the family members, the moms and whatever.
That's true.
So, whereas in America, because they do so much to keep their soldiers and, safe, when they do come back, even if they're maimed or whatever, many of them still come back.
The military hospitals.
Look at
and so they're able to be celebrated.
Yes,
and they do films about
those
it
are
all
things,
the time.
Yes. But, I was coming here this morning and I just suddenly noticed something hanging at the back of someone's car. And I thought, is that a Navy officer's uniform? What is it doing hanging at the back of that man's car? And I just realized that what it was really is that Nigerian thing. Yeah. The guy thinks that by putting that uniform there, on the road, you will fear him. And then if he jumps the lights, the police look, Navy officer. Then they will leave him. But they will get me if I jump that light.
Yeah, because you don't have a uniform.
It is a humiliation of the uniform. A white uniform with the insignia of his rank there, and it was hanging at the back of the car as a way to break the law.
That's the politics of the whole thing. With the inclusion of military into politics, they left the business of soldiery and then started the business of politics.
But you have to even feel sorry for our boys, because you sort of say,
very perceptive,
and so that created fear.
Very perceptive liberals, because I had actually not finished. I was going to move on to say that this is because these people got into politics.
Yes, absolutely.
And so ruled this country when they should have stayed in the barracks. So he has said it for me, and that's the.
So politics is the corrupting factor.
A lot of the things we do here, you cannot take politics away from it.
Yes.
You really can't take politics away from it.
That's why I find it very interesting when people say they're not interested in politics.
And there is a bigger
as long as when you say politics, you include the populace. We are part of the political system. So you're not just saying the leaders there. It's
now we're talking about elections. And so it's ordinarily you would have expected that all of us would interact the process and ask questions, even like this one we're talking about now. What is your plan and programs for the military?
Yes.
Because that also forms part of
to us.
the American election. What are your plans for military, for the wars that we're fighting? It is not about, I will eradicate Boko Haram. And,
what about the people you're using to eradicate Boko Haram?
And plus, you can even see that our military and our army, they're being used for things other than what they should be used for.
Escort vehicles.
Carry handbags.
From Cotonou.
No, but I even wonder.
It dehumanizes.
It dehumanizes, right? Because I even sometimes wonder what it is that will be going through the mind of a young person who goes to war on behalf of Nigeria.
No, it's suicide.
Nobody wants to.
It's actually
what gingers you to want to lay down your life for Nigeria at all?
Yeah, because you're literally going to do that.
Look, we're talking about even the military. The police, the Nigerian police is the worst. I'm telling you.
That's
no motivation at all.
Yeah, because it's like garbage in, garbage out. So if I give you a police form now, it's okay, come and join the Nigerian police. You look at yourself, no. But meanwhile, you go to London, you apply to join Metropolitan Police. You see the way they are respected. You see the dignity.
Even though they have their issues, I'm sure.
No, of course they have.
People still yap them. People still
every society has issues.
It's so funny
kill
that
one
you brought
police.
this up.
It is police
because
thing.
this week my son said to me, "Mama, I want to be a policeman." I said,
"Come and stop that."
I said, "Okay, well, not in Nigeria. You can be a policeman in the UK." That's what I said to him. Yes,
because it has options to be.
Because at the end of the day, you look at the Nigerian police, the Nigerian military, they've created that aura of fear around them.
Yes.
And that even for you to volunteer information.
Not your friend.
Yes, they are not your friend. To volunteer information. And so you look at the recruiting process. people who go to join these organizations, it is how man go do.
Yes.
And so they get there. It is not about the passion for it.
Correct.
It's about what can I get. And then those who
actually, there was a uniformed man yesterday. It was quite funny. He was shouting at the person, and the lady said, "Why are you shouting? Why are you shouting?" So when the man realized he was wrong to shout, he said, "You don't master me now. I'm a uniformed man. Shouting is part of my nature."
And
see,
the training as well.
I think I have to. I will have to call for a break at this time. But sit tight. Chuka will shortly be revealing more on this topic. That thing about gay rights.
Chooks. Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's disastrous for a president
To even say
be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfired.
very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're indeed watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa, so it's time to break the suspense. Many have questioned Nigeria's unfriendly stance toward gay issues. They cite other matters as rape and corruption as important ones to deal with. Quite right, they are too. Nigeria is disrespected internationally, essentially because it has not gotten its act together as a nation capable of good progress with earnings and available population power at her disposal, hence the attempts to bully us on gay issues. These bullies display considerable ignorance of the nature, philosophy, and culture of our country, and in essence, are falling to stupidity. I have read many write on this gay issue as misplaced priorities and not reflective of the prevailing thought of Nigeria's people. That is surely wrong. I believe that any poll, small or large, will show that Nigerians, the majority and not some of the westernized few, are happy to see this matter tackled as priority, and it is their right to misplace that priority. I'm happy with Pope Francis's pronouncements on gay issues, and he has not been hasty to draw conclusions, either personal or for the church. It's one thing to not accept it as correct behavior or lifestyle, but to remember that all are God's children and any which way. So I may not, for instance, accept as prescribed the suggested punishments that our non-pro-gay bill describes. A world of confused genders is not attractive to me. A world of same-sex parents as well. Surely even that is an oxymoron. Nations are now in confusion over who should use what toilet. The concept of the male-female rooms is threatened. School uniforms are now threatened. What's the agenda?
There's no agenda.
There must be a hidden agenda behind the.
But for me, I think we're just reacting to the issues as they are coming, and so because if some persons who are vociferous about this issue today, maybe a few years back, if they were told that they will come this hard on these issues, they probably wouldn't have believed. But over time, maybe, you look at the issues broadly, concept change, and, you begin to accept some of these issues, including the position of Pope Francis. Because some people ordinarily, including Catholics, ordinarily would expect him, that would expect such a stand from him.
Yeah.
But if you look at it broadly, it's about the person is a human being.
Correct.
Maybe like you said, he's confused.
Yeah.
And so the world he's born into, and then the concepts that he's come to know, he's confused, and so he really does not know. So, and he wants to identify with one part. And so since the world also has created that part, more people are beginning to identify with it.
Yeah.
And some people now, there's this new concept of you were born like that.
Yeah.
So I think Uche was explaining it before the program.
Okay, I missed that one. Okay, go on.
Okay, I was just thinking about what Chuka said, and I thought to myself, what are we really discussing here? Is it that we are totally against gay
Rights?
Gay rights, and in particular, you know, same-sex parenting, and what was the other one you mentioned?
Same-sex parenting, confused gender.
Yeah, confused gender. But although that one is not necessarily gay issues, you kind of like took it to another level. So let's just take the first one, you know, same-sex parenting. I don't know. It's interesting how when I was waiting before the show, and I was listening to a group of people having a conversation, and they were talking about why people, you know, children become gay and, you know, or bisexual. And one of the things they raised was that they being raised by same-sex parents. So when they're raised by same-sex parents, they now feel like they can try different, you know, there's nothing that's not allowed. And so the person might try this, try that, and then probably just end up bisexual because, you know, it's all well and good. So this same-sex parenting anyway, I personally find it confusing. It's not something that I would advocate.
This is not biological.
Yes, you know, it's not something I would advocate, and I really believe that there's a role to be played by the different genders within the marriage. So I'm not for it, but I'm of the same, you know, perspective or thinking that, you know, you do your own thing. You know, I can't stop you. You're an adult. I can't get in the way, but we definitely should be looking at that same-sex parenting thing because I feel like it's affecting the vulnerable, you know, children who haven't yet fully formed. And you're already like imposing your ways on them, and you're directing their steps even before they have even decided how they want to
But
go.
let's even take it from the Nigerian position, because there are laws in place. There's a bill that was passed under Goodluck Jonathan 2014, and it's basically saying 14 years imprisonment. Is that correct?
That for me is ridiculous. I mean, I don't understand why we're going to be wasting energy on that.
Do we know if it's actually been implemented? You're a lawyer. How often do we go after?
No, recently I think in somewhere in Oshobo, one of these gay.
Sometimes they do. They round them up sometimes.
But the problem
they do it so you can bribe them. Because they know you don't want to be.
The problem in implementing or enforcing that law is this act, you know, takes place behind closed doors. So how do you prove?
No, they say sometimes they go to nightclubs where they know that they're interacting.
When you interact,
all,
how do you now establish that truly?
Why should you even?
So the people are too afraid to even wait for you to prove the point.
Why are we even having a law like that? That is what I want to understand.
It's meant to be, what's the word? When you're trying to prevent the act, deterrent. It's a deterrent. That's the best possible light.
You see, because I think I
but
also
let me just
want
make
to
this point. From my understanding, from the stuff I was able to read up, my understanding was that law was mainly focusing in not so much you're being gay, because it didn't actually stop you from being gay. Because apparently in Uganda, there is a more draconian law to be gay, life imprisonment.
It's about acting it out.
Yeah, so they're saying be gay, but don't do it in a way, or don't publicly associate with yourselves in a way that will now influence other people. So it's a specific kind of law to try and stem what they may have seen as
I think because the way the world was going and the way, you know, the Western culture was going, and then trying to push it down the throat of Africans that you must you know, accept this.
Absolutely.
You know, so there was need to protect. You know, because some of our laws really we can say they stem from our cultural practice and beliefs.
Yes.
And so for a lot of people, this is not African. This is not Nigeria. This is how do you begin to explain to your father in the village that you brought a man home and that you say you want to marry a man?
Yes.
But you know what's funny?
So some of them can't even imagine it.
So they don't want to even allow for it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so let's not begin to even give opportunity for it.
Yeah, but since this law came into,
there'll be more people embracing
even
it.
Celebrities out there doing it in your face.
Really?
Yes. Talking about it left, right, and center. It's almost like they're even laughing at the law.
But
so
take it back to where Chuka, in his remark, he said that the culture, this attitude of the West trying to push it down our throat.
That's Chuka's beef.
That's the agenda.
And so you now find out that some people, because of that, you have a superpower or an older brother who is protective of that idea.
Yes.
And then the younger brother, sees everything wrong with it. And so the tendency for some people who want to relate with that bigger brother to say, well, this is, I'm being haunted because I am this. We latch on to anything.
Correct.
To get favors or to get visas. But fortunately, Uche, one of these such celebrities was denied a visa by American embassy.
Oh, really? Okay. You guys are speaking on that
No, we're not calling any.
Exactly.
No, you can't even say because he won't openly tell you that he's gay or not.
Okay.
So,
he knows himself.
Yeah, let's not get in there. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, it appears so. All I'm saying is that I don't really understand the point of this law.
Okay.
I really think that aspect of it just needs to be done away with. Let's focus on the ones that we can actually police, like the same-sex parenting, same-sex marriage, all those sort of things, I don't mind if they want to get married, but if the church says, we don't accept same-sex marriage, find another way. They call it a civil union. They have these sort of things,
But don't you even accept that? I'm still thinking through how do you implement it? How do you achieve the goal of protecting the majority's whatever it is that they value, which is they don't want a gay culture.
And that's
but I'm
why
saying that
this law for me.
What if by doing this, focusing on same-sex marriages, people then say, okay, I can walk down the street kissing and holding hands. And you're still trying to protect a society that go. And we always overdo our own. If we give us open room, we'll go and overdo our own.
And so that's why for me, no matter how defective we think the law is, or no matter how we feel, oh yes, this has become a norm in the world, the law, if not for the law, also, there are some people who would have, there are some people, I remember when I was even in spite of the law, I remember when I was in NYC camp, a guy I'd never expected, started making passes at me.
Okay.
He would come laugh sheepishly and just, slap me the way and I was like, no, this guy, I need to be watching him. And so at a point, when he noticed I wasn't responding, he came out open. I said, if you try it, and so that's, frightened him. Yes. And so there are some people like that who will have those tendencies, but they know that there is a law, so I need to be careful.
Keep it on the cover.
Yes. So if we don't have such laws, like you said,
I'm in two minds about this.
We can have harassment laws. We don't necessarily have to have, anti-gay. What I'm saying is, even when we have laws, even when we have laws, governing these things, like for instance, we have laws against taking drugs. Yeah. But I can assure you, that, many, in fact, there's a huge drug culture going on.
No, but then we do away with the law because of that.
Behind your back. And I feel it also makes these things, look a little bit more exciting, a little bit more, why don't we try this? Yeah. So you're just even making it more exciting.
Well, I can excuse that one because implementation has been one of the biggest problems with our laws here.
Okay.
Our ability to, we power to implement our laws. So in some cases you find out that these laws are repeated. Okay. Meanwhile, the ones we already have, that was why in Lagos State the offense of bigamy was abolished from our laws. Yeah. Because the governor felt since this law was enacted, nobody had been prosecuted for this offense. And so there was no need keeping it in our law books.
But why now? You should keep it.
But they should still keep it.
Because you find out that they will have this attitude of live and for God. So you leave it for God to handle. So there was no need keeping it. Maybe with time too, from advocacy such as this,
reintroduce
somebody will say, well, we really don't need this law.
Yes.
We had a law, in spite of the fact that this law was there and nobody really was punished.
What are we trying to achieve with this
law? So why
law?
don't we,
rehash it?
Rehash it and then.
I'm in two minds about the whole gay rights thing. I wouldn't want my child to be gay. I wouldn't want to have a gay culture as the predominant or even co-dominant culture in Nigeria. But I also see the human being, and I say to myself, what if you couldn't control it, someone close to you said they were gay? Would you want them to be oppressed in the way the current climate seems to be?
I also have seen people who felt they were gay, and after counseling, they realized that they were not.
But there's that fear.
So what's the society also doing? in that regard.
I think for me, I think
in terms
for
of
me,
counseling?
Yes.
Okay.
I think for me, there's a bit of wanting it not to be too liberalized.
Open
shouldn't
door
be,
policy.
we shouldn't have too much of an open door policy towards it. We shouldn't beat anybody up because he's gay. I mean, that is ridiculous. Then, of course, I mean, when you say gay marriage, I don't think I don't know whether I think there can be such a thing as a marriage.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
gay.
I'm coming in a bit. But even the society is part of what makes me a little cautious with saying, no, let's even rehash anything. Is the societies like the UK we always refer to, where they have said, oh, yeah, be all you can be, you find that they don't stop at tolerance or whatever coexistence. They start pushing the agenda and they become intolerant of the existing.
Correct.
And so you find that the gay people won't even let you breathe. If you have an in and you don't want gay people coming to they sue you out of the water. If you say you're a marriage registrar and you don't want to register them, they're so intolerant.
Somebody wouldn't bake a cake for someone for a gay marriage, and you want to bring him down.
Yeah. So I just find that it's a bit aggressive.
He has thousands of years behind him of what he's doing. And so you should give him time to even unfold. You see, time is not being given to everybody to get used to this whole concept. And that's where I have a problem.
You feel it's being aggressively pushed.
Oh, yes. That's why I said, what's the agenda?
That's why he said
what's
there's an agenda.
There's an agenda.
Like,
there's a gay agenda. That's what I feel. And I don't know who's pushing it and where from.
I think it's from the West. But
no, it is. No, who in the West? What block?
For
What
as long as
political
we
block?
seek, financial aid and all these things, these are going to be
Which is why, to some extent, people saw Goodluck as a hero when he stood his ground and said, whatever, I'm still going to sign this into law.
No, he had to anyway. He's Nigerian. If he didn't sign it, somebody would have signed it.
Because the same way you say...
anyway, he would have been made to sign it.
You don't see why somebody should be punished for being gay. It's the same way they are punishing you for not accepting, for holding to your own views.
I'm holding to my own,
I don't see this as natural.
They're anti-straight now.
And you know the funny thing, like I was saying earlier, homophobia. Once you say, like me now, after what I've read out today, they would say I'm homophobic. Of course I'm not homophobic because I don't have a phobia.
But there are people who are.
I'm not extreme or irrational fear or aversion, But we are all branded phobic now.
Yeah, everything is phobic.
Even for a little bit. There's always more to say than time will allow, which is why we continue the conversation on our social media space. Feel free to join the conversation on Facebook, Plus TV Africa, also on Instagram and Twitter, both at Plus TV Africa with hashtag #TheAdvocateNG, and we'll endeavor to read some of your responses on the program. Here are contributions to last week's discourse. Adejoke Lores Odunsi says, wish I could watch, a little heated. In fact, I'm telling you, blimey, in this neck of the woods, he'd be marched off the premises for being so paternalistic.
I think that's
Even the hairs on the back of my neck were rising up, ready to deliver a metaphoric slap.
Wow.
Oh dear. What has Libros done? K Electra 1 says, ooh, the glasses came off.
That's irritating.
So tuning in tonight. That's irritating, obviously, yes. Ufomba Azuka says, concerning our social revolution, the revolution has already been hijacked. When it happens, it will be by the people who caused the problem in the first place. They are both the shield and the sword. Wow. Now it's time for that quick break. And when we return, Uche will be touching on matters concerning packaging and fraud.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really? It's disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief justice.
It's a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
backfired.
Terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Now it's time to peel away the layers and get real. When does makeup become fraud? Yeah, that's the question I was asking recently. I recently came across an article where a man is suing his wife for fraud after seeing her without makeup for the first time. This really got me thinking, can or should makeup be classified as fraud? On social media, I have male friends who regularly advocate that the best place to take a woman for the first date is swimming. Really? I began to wonder if the husband had a case. No doubt, the avalanche of makeup tutorials on social media has fueled this fear of fraud. The before and after shots are often so drastically different that the subjects really do look like two different women. So let's look at why women wear makeup, shall we? We do so to enhance our beauty, be more attractive, appear more put together and more polished. Is this deception? To ascertain this, we need to look at what makeup is trying to accomplish. If makeup is being worn to attract others and not just for our personal pleasure, then wearing copious amounts of makeup may be considered deceitful. However, there is no law anywhere that says women must present themselves authentically to those they wish to attract. Maybe Laboris might be able to elaborate on that. If one is looking for a one-night stand or something very temporary, then I guess there are massive benefits to be had from faking it. But if one is looking for something more substantial based on mutual honesty and trust, then maybe there can be such a thing as too much makeup. For all intents and purposes, the object of attraction is getting a Photoshopped version, and the wearer is now operating under a mask, literally. However, I believe the onus is on both parties to get to know each other better, peel back the layers, so to speak, before committing to marriage. If that means going on a swimming date, then so be it. What say you, my fellow panelists? Is all fair in love and war?
Yeah,
Libra, she called your name.
Yes, the problem with the swimming one the swimming one has a problem, because you move from makeup to hair. Hair is not even to other matters. That you may find yourself actually liking the girl more after swimming.
Oh my gosh.
Whether the makeup was fraudulent or not.
Okay.
So if you get
other assets.
there are other assets that may well help her case. And so if she likes, she can carry on making up.
She's not making a case.
But the truth of the matter is that I think that it's. I think that perhaps husbands, boyfriends, friends, male friends ought to help speak to women more about makeup. Yes, that's what I think. Because I have found that a lot of men actually like these things that we're complaining about. They like hair that will go all the way down almost to your knees.
They like it easy.
It's too much makeup, they'll tell you.
No, but they like it, beauty is the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, that's right. And many men have now begun to like it. So I think the women are not necessarily like off point.
No,
it appears that they know what they're doing.
You only have to look at the rap videos, to kind of see that they know who they're attracting with it, and all the women there are bam, bam, long hair, face full of makeup,
there's this, the word actually, like you said in the last topic, you talked about agenda. Yeah. For me, I think there's always an agenda somewhere. And so for cosmetics manufacturers and companies, so you create this facade of, this is the way to go. Yeah. And so you push that narrative as hard as you can.
Why? I always want to know why.
And so you make skinny look beautiful.
Why?
For you to be beautiful, you have to be skinny.
Because it's a multi-million-dollar industry.
Yes, and so you have these makeups, your natural look no longer needs to tell you. Yeah. The makeup is what should tell about you. And so in some cases,
makeup makes sense because you're selling cosmetics.
It's all about
skinny. What are you selling? It's
less selling slimming products.
And so at the end of the day, you find people struggling to wear those makeups. Now, on like 3 years ago, these highlights, the one you call highlights.
Contour.
Okay, is that what they call?
We're not in vogue, but now they've added that one to, you highlight, you contour. Yes. When Brazilian hair came, Peruvian hair, it was people's narrative. You push this narrative. Oh, your hair, this weave on need to be as natural as the real one. People were buying some as much as 100,000, 200,000 naira. You know, and so the world had come to accept that narrative as the real thing.
No, but let me ask you.
But then
Let me interject. No, because you may come in and continue. Are you saying that even the natural look,
that's where I'm going to now.
They can't build a multi-million-dollar on it because people still push. You can still push money.
It's an idea.
There's not
expensive in some places.
See, look, let me tell you, this natural hair that you are carrying.
Sorry?
Some people came with products to grow natural hair.
Exactly. So you can still look like yourself and spend money on yourself.
But they didn't get onto it.
They couldn't compete because the other industry
is stronger and built and been around.
You know, has been around for a long time.
Of your products, the thread you use for your hair can never compare with the Brazilian,
the treatment they tell you you need for your hair. You know the treatment. By the time you finish,
you do all those treatments. You do all those treatments as well as do the Brazilian, the Peruvian. Yes, you don't just put the weave on.
And you know, like my priest said one day, a lady came to church to complain, and then they prayed together. When she came back, he didn't recognize the lady and was like, sorry, I don't know you. She's now wearing makeup and she's looking different. And in fact, he called it foundation. That a house can be built on that foundation. You know, and so, I'm sorry, and so there are some you really see, you're like, I didn't recognize you. You look right. Because with the eyelashes, everything, you know. So
is that where it becomes deception? Where you can't recognize?
At that point, it's like you said, it becomes excessive.
Yeah.
And so what are you trying to achieve? Is it just attractiveness, looking good, or you know, something entirely? It's like a mask.
Okay. Let me also ask. You know, what is, in a way, can you really, what's the word, legislate against that? Because even if you take away makeup, let's just say, because human beings, they like to reinvent themselves. Take your personality. When you meet someone for the first time, you will try and present yourself, put your best foot forward. And sometimes people complain.
Sometimes your best foot can be a natural.
You know, marriage is like that. You marry someone and they're all, you know, sweetness and light. And then by 2-3 years, they're nagging you, they're flogging you, they can't stand. And you're looking and saying, this is not the woman I married. Did she deceive you? Is that fraud? You know, how far will you take it?
Really, this whole concept about marriage, a lot of, you know, deceit had been built into it. That in some cases, everything about it is deceit. Okay. For some of us that handle divorces, you know, you just look at some, you listen to the stories, you're like, from day one, I knew that this would be like this. You know, it is built on make-believe. Yeah. It is built, and that's why it's called make-up. You know, make-believe.
Make-up for your deficiencies.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in some cases, your natural look is all you need to attract that marriage. In some cases, like she said, it is that makeup.
But there might be something else you're using to...
Depending on the man also.
Deceiving the man with.
The man might also be deceiving himself.
Yes.
Because there are men that deceive themselves.
Like this man and now, then, how did he wait until after the wedding day to finally see what she looks like?
And then is he saying that there's nothing more about her that he likes and it's worth keeping? And it's only about the facial and you dismiss her on that?
There are some men that won't go out with their wife if she's not properly
so they deserve the trophy wife that they're getting.
And so when there are some, they spend so much money. Oh, you need to, you know, put all of these things in place. You know, so it depends on the parties involved, really. And so if the man does not see it as deceit, who am I to say?
Imagine,
you know,
the wife is happy
he's been defrauded.
But I want to ask you. You know, you're a woman. You wear makeup. So
can you wear makeup?
Naturally.
So in your opinion, when does makeup become fraud?
For me, it's down to the individual. When, like, even with the makeup I wear, I still want to recognize myself. The minute I can't recognize myself, I feel like some sort of strange person. Even my clothes, I want it to be an expression of something that I can identify with. So it's up to you. So the only reason I feel sorry, the person I feel sorry for the most, not even the guy being deceived, because in most cases he's asking for it. It's the woman, because I feel that there's some insecurity she's not addressing, and she's hiding behind this mask, and it will still come home to roost. So I'll say, look, if makeup is like some women I know, they'll say they can't leave the house without foundation. You know, so what does that do to your self-confidence? It means that if someone comes to your house and rings the doorbell, you quickly and put foundation. What does that mean? You know, what does that mean?
Even to some guys, I know some guys, they can't take photographs naturally. They tell you, no, that photograph is too...
They need powder.
You know, I need to, you know...
Package.
I need to package up a little bit. Men, guys. And so you now begin to wonder. It's about that's where I said, you know, copying from Chuka, the world is pushing an agenda.
Okay.
That agenda of make-believe. And also, this fraudulent lifestyle, depending on how you look at it,
so
also
selfies
is reflective on the lifestyle we live on social media vis-a-vis the real life.
Yeah.
You know, now you have a Photoshop. You know, you see somebody goes into a hotel toilet and takes a photograph and says, home sweet home on Instagram. You know, make believe. And then you that is in Alakuko, you are jealousing that person. Oh, look at it. Not knowing that he doesn't even have a house as good as yours. And you see this lady looking all so beautiful in makeup. You that had this natural look because you want to wear that makeup. You want to wear that Peruvian. It's somebody's job to ensure that you wear it even when you don't have the phone. You know, so until we'll understand, there's a thin line between the fraud part of it and
so
I know a guy
as a lawyer, do you believe that husband had a case though?
Oh boy.
You know, like if he,
you remember last week I talked about
breach of
promise to marry. Yes, he does have a case.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, because if what attracted him to you is your look, and then anytime he's with you, you have that look, only for him to now take you swimming. And he saw the real look. The real look.
No, but
you've defrauded him.
Well, okay, what he should have done was say maybe she should tattoo. You know, you can tattoo the makeup on now.
My goodness.
What was he suing
I will
her
sue
for?
him.
Not for taking her makeup off.
No,
because he should have known that she's always worn makeup.
Because
the makeup changed.
Do you know that looking at
the man is a liar, Sha.
Yeah,
he doesn't want the woman again.
There are some people. Maybe in Nigeria you will say he doesn't want the woman.
He doesn't want her again. But
I think that story was from China also.
Yes.
You know, but there are some ladies you see.
Imagine you get married to someone and they put on weight, they become obese. You now sue them
because
you didn't marry them like that.
Because what I am marrying is the mindset.
No, I'm saying this man. You say he has a, you're saying the man has a case. Yeah, you marry her, she has a baby within a few months.
Is marrying. The man is marrying that beautiful look. That's what
are these men allowed to sue women who put on weight after they have babies?
If the man says that one is different from this real look now.
That's not how she looks.
Because these are natural. These are
natural occurrences. Yes.
But this one, you are marrying the woman. And every day you see her while you were cutting, you know, you say, oh, you look beautiful. You say, this is my natural look. Only for you to take her swimming one day.
Oh, must she say it's a natural look?
No, if you
before
look,
you can sue her, so that it's on record.
Because you will have to establish
makeup now.
You will have to establish the fact that you know you were actually deceived into it.
Yes.
And not that you knew.
But can he have been deceived, considering that he knows what makeup is?
Yeah, he probably was.
I think she should also counter-sue him for being an idiot.
In some cases, some of these cases are extreme. You know, and some of the courts that they go to are this, you know, and so they are extreme in some cases. The man gets there like, oh, I didn't know that this was not the person I wanted to marry. I thought it was this Mona Lisa's face. Only for me to see the real face. It is.
My own is we should stop looking for things that don't exist. This made-up world. We should just tell ourselves the truth. The reality is actually better than this fiction we're living in. We know someone who he will tie a scarf and go into a thing and take a picture, and all the babes will be really wanting to know him because they think he's in England. He's somewhere in Nigeria.
Oh.
Even at the muffler.
Because that's what
as his profile picture.
That's what the world wants to see now. Make believe. Make believe. You just create an impression. And that's why some people,
right now.
Do you know that even being on TV like this, some people think, oh, being on TV alone, you're a multi-millionaire.
Oh, don't burst that bubble. Stop it.
And then also, coming to this program, I wanted to stop by at a roadside plantain seller to buy roasted plantain. And my friend said, no.
TV personality.
You know, and that also limits the real you.
Yes, I know. Don't be limited. I thought you were someone who doesn't buy into that narrative.
I ended up buying.
Correct guy.
So
refute it.
But you know, so these are the issues. That is the world we are creating. And it's either we break away from it, and the earlier we do, the better. Otherwise, one day we see ourselves all living.
I don't actually see us breaking away from it because I think we're even getting deeper. Now, plastic surgery is even making it more permanent and everything. So I really don't see that happening.
The more we use.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm told we're out of time, even though there's so much more left to talk about. But anyway, never mind. We'll have to hold on to it for next week. In the meantime, you can stay with the conversation on our social media space, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook on @PlusTVAfrica, #TheAdvocateNG. Yes, we've got that in there. We look forward to hearing from you. Till then, it's bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really?
Disastrous for a president
To even say
to be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's a
justice.
ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.